This post is from the subreddit Am I the Idiot, shared by user AccomplishedBar5656. Am I the idiot for suing my parents for my college money? My great-aunt set up savings accounts for all of her female relatives. In our culture, education for women is not really valued, and she thought that was BS. She lived with her father in London, where she was educated. She went on to attend university and became a doctor. She married a British man, they moved to America and had a great life. She funded the education of as many of her nieces and grandnieces as she could. When she passed away, she left money for every girl relative she could. My parents managed to access the accounts that were set up for my sister and I. They used it to pay for my brother's wedding. My sister didn't care because she got married 2 years out of high school and had no intention of going to college. When I graduated, I went to the bank to get money for school and it was almost all gone. There was like $13,000 left. I asked my parents about it and they said they had needed the money. I finally found out where the money went. I got furious. I got student loans and moved out. I am a great source of shame to them and I don't give two Fs. I am currently suing them for the money that was left for me. My entire family is against me. They all think I am a complete idiot for airing private family business in public and that I am putting money ahead of family. My friends are all on my side, but they are all Americans and don't really get my culture. Neither do I, to be honest. My brother called me up and offered to pay for my university if I dropped the lawsuit. I agreed as long as we had a legally binding contract. He said I was being an asshole for not trusting him. I said he should not have accepted my money for his wedding. It is causing all kinds of embarrassment in our community. I am somewhat ashamed to be doing this, but I don't want to have this debt I should not have. OP, you're not wrong here, and anyone framing this as you chose money over family is dodging the real issue. This wasn't shared family money. It was intentionally set aside for your education by someone who clearly believed in giving you opportunities your culture often denies women. Your parents didn't just borrow it, they overrode her wishes and redirected it to your brother's wedding. That's not a gray area, that's a breach of trust. The cultural angle matters, but it doesn't excuse it. In fact, it kind of proves your great-aunt's point. She knew this might happen, which is why she set up those accounts in the first place. Your family's reaction is also telling. Instead of accountability, they're focused on embarrassment, keeping things private, making you the problem. That's classic pressure to protect reputation over fairness. As for your brother, his offer sounds less like support and more like damage control. You were right to demand a legally binding agreement. If he calls that not trusting him, that's ironic considering you're in this situation because trust was already broken. The only place I'd push you a bit, make sure you're emotionally prepared for the fallout. Even if you're 100% justified, which you are, lawsuits inside families can permanently burn bridges. If you're okay with that outcome, then you're acting consistently with your values. Bottom line, you're not being greedy. You're holding people accountable for taking something that was never theirs. And honestly, if your great-aunt were alive, she'd probably be on your side. Timely Ask 1327 says, not the idiot. Your parents didn't borrow your money, they stole it. I hope you have all the documents to show that money was yours. Your brother is also the idiot for trying to get you to drop a lawsuit with what is most likely a lie. If you have a chance to start life without student debt, you do whatever you can to do that. Your parents, and I'm sorry but their culture, sound completely toxic. I'm glad you got out. OP replies, the Student Law Center at my university is helping me with everything. I have proof that the money was mine. I am trying to do everything I can so this does not become a criminal matter. Professor Yaffle1 says, not the idiot. Your parents stole from you. I find it difficult to believe that that's culturally acceptable. If they had asked you to agree to the money being used, it would be different, although still not great given the power imbalance. And I would have thought that intentionally disrespecting the dead would be a no-no in most cultures. You aren't airing family business in public. You are dealing with a theft. Your parents are the ones who chose to lie and steal. They have only the same to blame that their actions have caught up with them. And yes, relying is formal, binding legal contract in place to withdraw your legal claim is essential. You are not being an idiot. If your brother is honest and trustworthy, then there is no reason for him to object. If he isn't, there is every reason to get it formally drawn up. Update. It's over. I got my money. I have also pretty much been disowned by my family, but I consider that a win as well. My parents ended up having to mortgage some property to pay me back for what they stole. My family is embarrassed that I forced them to this point after they had offered to pay me back in installments. Nobody is willing to answer me when I ask what would make my parents pay me back if I was stupid enough to trust them. I have been told that I will never find a husband from our culture with my belligerent attitude and strident independence. I laughed. I do not want anything to do with that culture, except perhaps enjoy the food. I plan on never returning to that country. I am enjoying the independence I have achieved, and am more than happy to know that several other of the young women in my family have taken steps to lock down the education funds left for them. For those of you that think it is sexist that my great-aunt only cared about educating women, please die angry. OP. This is one of those outcomes that's harsh, but very clean. You got exactly what was yours, and more importantly, you forced accountability in a situation where everyone else was relying on silence and pressure. The fact your parents only paid after being legally pushed tells you everything about those installment promises. They weren't reliable. Your family calling it embarrassment instead of acknowledging wrongdoing is also revealing. They're still prioritizing image over fairness. You didn't create that embarrassment. They did when they took money that wasn't theirs. The disownment part is painful, even if you're handling it well. Cutting ties like this can feel empowering now, and honestly, it should, but it can hit differently later. Just make sure you're building a support system outside of them. Friends, chosen family, people who actually respect you. Your stance on culture is blunt, but understandable. You're rejecting the parts that actively harmed you. That said, don't let anger alone define that decision long term. Keep what genuinely adds value to your life and leave the rest. The most underrated part of this update? Other young women in your family are now protecting their education funds because of what you did. That's a real, tangible impact, and probably the closest thing to honoring your great-aunt's intention. Only thing I'd caution, the burn-it-all-down tone at the end, like the last line, might feel satisfying, but it can also keep you tied to the anger longer than necessary. You've already won. You don't need to keep fighting. This post is from the subreddit Am I the Idiot, shared by user RoutineSky1292. Am I the idiot for not letting it go when my sister-in-law's BF told me, "Let's get one thing clear, I don't need to justify my actions to you"? This situation happened back in May of 2025, so keep that in mind, but has been brought up again, so hence the post. I will be so happy if at least one person reads all of this and gives advice. Me, 21 female, had been with my fiance, 25 male, for about 3 years when this situation occurred. I genuinely felt like I had created good relationships with his immediate family, his mom, his dad, his sister, 26, etc. I am someone who each of these people have heavily relied on to help with doing their taxes, keep their car insurances up to date, help with school assignments, both the mom and sister were in school, etc. I never said no to any request or need. Edit for context, for everyone not understanding me helping out, etc. Please read. You have to keep in mind that my fiancé family is Hispanic and I am the only person who is fluent in English. None were born in US, only me. Not even my fiancé is fluent. So it was natural for them to ask me for help and lean on me for everything. And I am not great at saying no, especially to people I think care about me, so I took on more and more. I don't care that he helped. In fact, I wish she got more help from others, like her other kids, so I wouldn't be the go-to person she asks, and so I wouldn't feel bad saying no because if I say no, she has no one to help her. I am happy she has someone other than me to help because I'm not doing it anymore after everything. The time came that my fiancé and I were going to move states for our jobs. When we were about to move, my sister-in-law, 26 female, introduced us to her new boyfriend of 1 week at the time, a male, 40 male. The age gap worried me for the reason that my parents had an identical age gap, and it is precisely what tore them apart over time. But I kept that opinion to myself and supported their relationship. When we met him, I liked the guy, thought he had a good sense of humor and seemed nice. Around 4 months later, I was shocked when things went sideways. There is a mini situation that happened with him before this one. Let me know in the comments if you want me to explain it. My mother-in-law had asked me to help her find a new laptop, so I FaceTimed her and we talked for around an hour going over pricing and options. Finally, we settled on the 2025 MacBook Air M4. She was only going to use it for browsing, notes, and light schoolwork, so I recommended the one with standard storage and RAM. This would save her close to $500 on a computer she is already paying $1,000 for. Especially because I share 2 terabytes of iCloud storage with her that I personally pay for. So we went with that option and I ordered it. A few days later, she is talking on the phone with my fiancé when she asks him to pass the phone for her to tell me something. She tells me that my sister-in-law's boyfriend said the laptop I picked was an older 2024 model, which isn't true. Based on that, he canceled the order I had placed and took her to buy a different one, which ended up being essentially the same laptop, just with more RAM and storage, so she spent more money for no real reason. I wasn't initially angry, but more annoyed because I had done the work and spent the time with my mother-in-law to arrive at that choice. Also, he said he canceled it because it was an old model. However, I had the order confirmation with model number to prove that wasn't the case. So to me, it was a big misunderstanding that led to my mother-in-law paying $1,500 for the computer instead of $1,000. However, she got more RAM and storage that she won't need. On her technological ability, she will probably only use about 10% of the computer's capabilities in the first place, so the extra money felt wasteful. And she is not rich. So I decided since he is someone in the family, I would reach out to him in a text to let him know there must have been a misunderstanding because the one I ordered is the same one he took her to get. And to ask that in the future, if it's something that I already helped with, to please reach out to me so we can chat to avoid misunderstandings. He responded with some computer specs, and I just responded with proof that what I ordered was correct. Once I sent the proof, he responded with, "Let's get one thing clear. I don't need to justify my actions to you. If you have a problem with the decision, take it up with mother-in-law." My jaw hit the floor. I was not expecting that type of reply and honestly felt disrespected. I replied saying that I had come to him with a respectful tone, so I would like the same back from him, and even clarified that I was not asking him to justify anything, just wanted to avoid future misunderstandings. He left that message undelivered and refused to address it. Edit. And this is the same guy who months before called me while I was at work to yell at me because the Airbnb I booked for 8 people, including himself for my Mill's birthday, did not allow pets. It was free for everyone, by the way. I paid it all. I did not even know he had a pet and just assumed at his age he knew someone to watch his pets or would hire someone to swing by. It was one night. So he yelled at me while at work and asked me to justify that choice, when it was a free stay for him. How would I know? Little did I know, he immediately went to my Sil, Mill, and Phil to complain about my texts. He twisted it to fit his agenda to make it seem as if I wanted him to give me the rundown every time he does anything. I found this out when I received a text later that some night from my Mill, who texted me saying I did not have to get upset and go off on him. Never did that, but I replied saying I did not know what she meant. In fact, that I felt disrespected by him. But at that point, she wouldn't hear me. My fiancé tried to address it with her and his sister, but they defended him, said his message wasn't disrespectful, and questioned why I even texted him in the first place. She also said we were misunderstanding his tone. All this while I have the receipts. I feel like I am going crazy. Am I in the wrong? Was he not disrespectful? Should I let it go? Also, there is more that happened after. Edit for what happened after. Okay, so basically after the situation, my fiancé reached out directly to him to say like my intentions weren't to get him to justify anything and that the comment he made was overly aggressive and not okay. That message was left undelivered. 6 months went by and there were crickets. No wanting to reach out for birthdays, no nothing. No effort to clear the air. But the time came for my Mill graduation from nursing school. I wasn't going to let that stop us from going and decided to go and be cordial and engage in group setting, but not directly to him. We went, and when he approached, we are all Hispanic, he came and partially wrapped me in a hug and went to kiss my cheek. I said, "No thank you," quietly, not loudly. Because TBH, I did not feel like being touched and kissed by someone who literally disrespected me in the last thing he ever said to me and left it like that for 6 months. This was not witnessed by anyone. I did not want to cause a scene or anything. I came to find out at the end of our trip, literally at the airport, from a text my Mill sent to my fiancé that he had gone to my Phil and told him that I did not accept his hug and kiss. From there, my Phil told Mill. The message my Mill sent my fiancé was basically that I was not being mature, and that obviously him coming to hug me was him being the bigger person or something. The message hurt because it was intended to be behind my back, but my fiancé shared it with me. If anything, I knew I was going to be uncomfortable and I came anyways, and did not cause an issue. But now I'm the issue again because I didn't want to be kissed. In response to the whole thing, my fiancé scheduled a call with him. On that call, it lasted 5 minutes. He wasn't letting my fiancé talk at all, so my fiancé asked if he could speak on each point he is trying to make because he won't be able to if he keeps going and won't let him. And he responded that then he should get a pen and paper and take notes if he can't keep up. So my fiancé responded that that comment is a zoquetada in Spanish. Not sure the translation. And the dude hung up and said to call him back when he's man enough. After that, my fiancé said he isn't speaking to him because there's no speaking to someone who is so cool talking like that. So that's the most recent thing. OP, here's the blunt truth. You weren't wrong, but you overextended yourself way too much, and that's what set this whole situation up. You made yourself the go-to problem solver for his entire family: taxes, school, tech, everything. That creates a dynamic where they rely on you but don't actually respect your effort. So when that boyfriend showed up, he didn't see you as someone to collaborate with. He saw you as someone he could dismiss. His message was disrespectful. No debate there. "I don't need to justify my actions to you" is unnecessarily aggressive, especially when you approached calmly. But here's the harder part. Your fiancé's family chose his side instantly. That's the real issue, not the laptop guy. They ignored clear proof, minimized your feelings, talked behind your back, reframed you as the problem. That tells you everything about where you stand. And the hug/kiss situation? You handled that fine. You set a quiet boundary. Him running to complain about it just proves he thrives on drama and control.
The real takeaway? This isn't about one rude guy. This is about a family that benefits from you but won't defend you. What you should do? Stop doing things for them, completely. Stay polite but disengaged. Let your fiancé handle his family going forward. If you keep trying to fix this, you'll just keep getting blamed. You're not crazy, you're just finally seeing the reality of how they treat you. Alright guys, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the story, drop your thoughts in the comments. I read them all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so we can hit 1,000 subscribers. I'll see you in the next one.